In today's video, we are going to look at the impact of tariffs, one of the worst days ever for many of the exchanges around the world, China, Japan, even the US in the beginning, now actually is recovering very well. Let's look at the impacts of tariffs in crypto, and also stock market will be a good one, so stay tuned. Okay, let's start first with the drawdowns that we've seen across markets. Hong Kong 8%, 7% Singapore, 6% in Japan, 5% in China. It was one of the worst days ever for stock markets around the world because of tariffs. Tariffs are basically taxation in imported goods. So it means for the people from all these countries, if they want to import goods from USA, they're going to have massive taxation. The same thing for these countries that impose tariffs in USA. For people from USA, if they want to buy things from China now, taxes are through the roof. That's why you are seeing this kind of sentiment. Tariffs are an act of war. So everyone suffers. I'm going to give you my opinion on this, but I think if this is a negotiation tactic from Trump, very good. He can get some advantage. Also, there are some unfair things in the trade deals, but if this is a long-term thing or a medium-term thing, I think this is going to crash even more the markets. Even if I think we're going to have a really good bounce, I think he's oversold. If this is bluff and is only a negotiating tactic, good. If not, I think there is even more downside, but I think short-term we're going to have a good bounce. So as you can see, China's stock market suffered the worst single-day crash since 2008, the recession in the United States. A very good thing is European Union says it's ready to discuss 0 for 0 tariffs with the US. I think this was the idea behind the tariffs, is to get leverage. So in this case, now European Union is trying to discuss 0 for 0 tariffs with the US. This is very good because for some cars to enter Europe, they have massive taxation. And I think Trump understands the importance of the automobile industry and is trying to have a better deal. So we already seen Europe, which is huge, starting to discuss. The most important is China. I think China will not go back to 0 tariffs. But if that happened, that would be insane. But I think China will hold the trigger and will keep competing with tariffs with the USA, which I think is stupid, to be honest. They are never a good sign for an healthy economy. And there are many people that are even predicting a recession in the next few months. So this is what I'm seeing at the moment. Now let's look at the charts. And also, speaking about tariffs, so the main idea behind tariffs, which I think is a bit old school, is to bring American jobs back in the industry. But actually, the opposite happens because when you have tariffs, the consumers are the ones that suffer because they have higher taxation. If they want to buy goods, inflation will be far higher. Something that costed €1 or $1 now will cost $1.50 if they try to import from China. So from big corporations, big companies like Apple, Nvidia, and even for smaller companies, it will be tough because they depend on China or Japan or Vietnam. So unless there is some kind of deal in the tariffs, Americans and people from all over the world are going to suffer because everyone suffers with tariffs. They are basically taxes on imported goods. If this is a negotiating tactic from Trump, fine. If in 20, 30, 60 days from now, all these things get solved and they have better deals, great. If this continues for a few months, there is a big potential to have a recession because GDP will come lower, of course, decline in economic activity with tariffs. Inflation will rise, but unemployment will also rise, stagflation. So when I'm looking at this, there are things that can go well with this, but also could go very badly, and we could go to a recession. So the main idea I think behind this is the trade deficit. United States is importing far more than is exporting. The manufacturing industry in China is growing day after day. So that's the main idea behind, I think, Trump's tariffs, is to bring manufacturing home, also to make the biggest companies in the world like Apple, Nvidia, to start depending on in USA. So I think that's what he wants. Also raising government revenue because of tariffs, and also to have geopolitical leverage so he can actually have better deals with Europe, with China, with anyone he wants. So that's the main idea. It will work or not, let's see. I think with this, also what he's doing is, now let's look at the charts, he's trying to make the Fed lower interest rates, because with all this chaos, the Federal Reserve will be obligated to lower interest rates, because majority of businesses and big companies now, with this big taxation, with higher interest rates, it's almost impossible to be profitable. So I'm actually curious to see the next earnings for Nvidia and Apple. I think it will be a disaster, at least I think in the next 3-4 months. So I think also the goal behind these tariffs is for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates very quickly. That will bring liquidity into the system. They'll start buying again bonds, and that's very, very important to have an healthy market. To have quantitative easing is really good for altcoins as well. And as you can see, we went down, open red today, and now already actually had a pretty good bounce. As you can see, 7%, really good bounce. Another important thing, yields are going higher, the 10-year yield, meaning people are getting out of bonds, which is risk off, and they might see some investors good opportunities to accumulate again some stocks. The indices and the fact that yields are going higher is a good sign as well. Another good sign is gold is going down. Gold is risk off, and the fact that it's going down is also a positive sign for the markets. And even better, Bitcoin is holding very well with all this chaos. Bitcoin is still at 79k, pretty good. I'm still not sure if this is the beginning of a recovery, but looking across the markets, also another very important thing is the VIX, volatility index. And as you can see, the last time we had such a big move in the VIX, it was in COVID. So let's look on the monthly for the VIX. So you had this one in COVID, 2024, the recession in 28. So as you can see, the last time we had this kind of movements in the VIX, it tended to be a bottom for equities and stock market. So still not completely convinced, but looking at the VIX, looking at US 100, looking at the yields, looking at gold, it looks like either the bottom is in, if this is a negotiating tactic from Trump, or if it's not, we could even have more downside and go into a recession. I'm actually contemplating both scenarios, but for now, looking at the most important, that for me is Bitcoin is holding still very well. Bitcoin dominance is still very, very high, so don't expect altcoins to do very well. But historically, we only had alt season when Bitcoin dominance was around 70% and the Federal Reserve started quantitative easing. So I think the Federal Reserve, with this kind of tariffs, they are going to speeden up the process of doing quantitative easing, and we could even see this year interest rates at 2.5%. And in a way, that's already quantitative easing. They are selling less treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. So pretty good for altcoins in general. But for now, still Bitcoin is the best one. As you can see, the trend is still strong. So at the moment, I wouldn't still buy many altcoins except for Tau, which I think is a great level. Other than that, I would recommend Bitcoin and Tau, which I think is the next biggest cryptocurrency out there. If we look at USDT dominance, also very important chart, we are at supply on the weekly. So if we reject from here, expect Bitcoin and altcoins to have a really good bounce. So something I'm also monitoring, USDT dominance, I always do, I think is very important. Ethereum still very, very weak, Ethereum against Bitcoin. Ethereum is in the same place that it was in the bear market. So in 2020, peak bear market, now we are in the same place. So if you hold the Ethereum from 2020, we are in the same place. So 5 years, zero returns for Ethereum holders, more or less, unless you bought the bottom at 1000, which majority of people never buy the bottom. It's tough to identify bottoms and tops. Ethereum has been a disaster so far. I think this is a potential bottom for Ethereum. You have a monthly demand zone. If you look right here, also you have this potential bottom around 001. But to be honest, I think here at least we have a bounce, but a bounce doesn't mean a reversal. So Ethereum still looks like crap, to be honest. If you look at altcoins, Tau is having a good bounce. This is great level to buy Tau. This is premium discount, I would say. So if you look on the weekly for Tau, we are at the bottom. I think in terms of network activity, it's never been better. Subnets are doing well. They are holding actually better than Tau. If you look at Shoot, which is one of my favorites. Target also amazing. Subnet 8 for trading, amazing too. You have many really good subnets and just starting. So for me, in terms of risk reward, I think Tau after Bitcoin is the best one. Even a better risk reward because the market cap is far lower and is leveraging decentralized AI that can be huge. So I think Tau at these levels are good. Not financial advice, but is in a good level to accumulate again Tau. So Tau, even against Bitcoin, is bouncing today. Also is at a monthly demand zone. So this is actually looks like the bottom for Tau. Of course, depends on Bitcoin, but to be honest, I think great levels to accumulate. Sui also having a bounce at a really good demand zone, also previous supply, really good level here as well. Sonic not doing so well. Solana also having a bounce. I think Solana, if you believe in the future of crypto, you have to have Solana. Is I think the best one after Bitcoin in terms of layer ones. In terms of activity, I think Solana and Sui are the best ones. Also, you could add Sonic in third place. I think is a good one too. Hyperliquid also bouncing, I think, as an interesting use case for crypto decentralized exchange. So in general, I think we're going to have the bottom really soon for crypto. Could be now actually the bottom, but I'm curious to see the next few days and see, because 9th of April, we're going to see if United States is going to impose additional tariffs to China. At least that's what I think Trump said. So I'm curious to see the next few days. Also to seeing CPI data. It's going to be a big month. Also, I think it's taxation day in USA. So April is going to be a fun month. Very volatile, good for traders. But I'm still waiting to see if we go lower or not. I think there is a chance looking at the VIX yields. Also, the markets had such big moves down, especially US market is insane. When you look at this, it went down 26%. That's a lot for the US market. So I think here also previous supply turning into demand. There is a chance that we bounce here, and we are bouncing here. Let's see tomorrow, the next few days, if this is a reversal or if it's just another move to continue going lower. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for the support. See you.